Section 1, Ashton in 2012 from the Center of American Progress represent coastal states are exploiting UNCLOS, and Smith in 2017 of the Marine Policy Journal terminalizes UNCLOS is dangerously close to deterioration, concluding that U.S. involvement is a critical component to global stability and thus accession to UNCLOS is necessary to legitimize the agreement. Our sole contention, rescuing the refugees. The horror of Brookings in 2018 explained that the next refugee crisis being driven by a socioeconomic disaster of magnitudes hardly ever seen before. The economic and humanitarian crisis in Venezuela is the worst the hemisphere has ever seen in modern history. The Washington Post further in 2018, routes out of Venezuela have become increasingly inaccessible. People continue to lead the dangerous voyage at sea for a shot at safer existence. The horror provides a solution, a coordinated effort through the UNCLOS. Fortunately, Papanak Approval explained in 2016 that UNCLOS provides members a duty to save lives at risk at sea. Article 98 states that every coastal state shall promote adequate search and rescue operations. U.S. accession to UNCLOS provides the legitimacy for action. 3 warrants. First, search and rescue operations. The United States is uniquely positioned to provide naval support necessary to combat the escalating crisis. For the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, search and rescue operations saved 85% of lives were saved, and an additional audit in 87,397 otherwise assisted by search and rescue operations. Accession would allow the U.S. to leverage naval presence to the benefit of our refugee rescue operations. Second, regional cooperation. The World Economic Forum writes in 2018, Latin American governments, the UN, and European Union, and the U.S. must ensure neighboring countries have the necessary resources. The U.S. is strongly positioned to spearhead the resolution. The Council on Foreign Relations writes in 2018 that this involves creating a broader burden-sharing arrangement for processing refugees, and to bring together a domestic interagency plan and an international effort focused on countries of first asylum supported by nations and multilateral institutions, both regional and global. UNCLOS provides a framework to effectively address and escalating migrant crisis via Article 98. Third, tribunal enforcement. UNCLOS provides a special court to settle maritime disputes with other countries. The UN wrote in 2010 that Part 15 requires state parties of the convention to settle any dispute concerning the interpretation or application of the convention by a court or tribunal. Through these tribunals, the U.S. may compel countries to assist the refugee crisis. This is critical as countries have failed to enforce their obligations to stop the crisis under UNCLOS. Maritime Executive finds that Article 94 of the 1982 UNCLOS, as well as the international human rights law, provides countries obligations to counter human rights violations. Yet they found that monitoring and reporting mechanisms are lacking or absent. Lawsuits to follow these laws. Fan of these rates after 2016 that the vast majority of decisions by international courts and tribunals are implemented. This has two impacts. The first is maintaining regional stability. U.S. action is necessary to protect our regional interests. I learned the Washington Post 2017 report that Venezuela is seeking a dangerous victim of authoritarianism and widespread violent crime. This could lead to a resurgence of authoritarianism coupled with a violent crime in several countries. The Hill recognizes the effects of Colombia key regional allies in the U.S. It is squarely in the U.S. interest to make sure that we're behind Colombia every step of the way, as both implications of failure and the difference of success will be far beyond Colombia's borders. The team being stretched in aware that our failure to allocate adequate resources to public health education and resettlement can lead to new outbreaks, damage social cohesion and offend Colombia's ability in far areas. Global American pipelines reported in 2017 that there's also concern about a significant increase in the flow of arms from Venezuela into the arms into the hands of criminal terrorists in Colombia. This has dangerous security implications and even risk military conflict at the border. This could result in the U.S. as well as the Council of 2018 that the economic, national security, and health costs imposed by the refugee epidemic would be substantial. Second thing, the refugees. Well, horror purposes in 2018 that without money or basic medicine, and most Venezuelans are going through severe hunger and dying from life diseases. Exchange reduction is quantified in 2018 that about 14 Venezuelans are treated in certain medical conditions, and he expects the Venezuelan figure to increase rapidly and exceed that of the Syrian crisis.
If the company began drilling, it would face massive international legal challenges, which would disrupt drilling activities, costing billions to the company. Acceding to the law of the sea removes the last major barrier to exploiting these resources. Gardner 12 of the American Security Project finds that under UNCLOS, the U.S. would file for and defend their claims in the Arctic in order to exploit its resources. He concludes that only under UNCLOS would the United States exploit the oil in the Arctic. Ericsson 15 of the Swedish Environmental Institute furthers that fearing the use of alternative energy and stricter climate policies, oil companies would expand into the Arctic as soon as possible, even at a loss. Unfortunately, this drilling would rapidly accelerate global warming. Walsh 12 of Time magazine writes that along with oil, dangerous and unprofitable natural gas is extracted during the offshore drilling process. He furthers that companies are forced to burn the gas, which releases dangerous amounts of methane and pollutants into the atmosphere, trapping heat and raising global temperatures. Even further, burning this gas puts the Arctic in a black heat-absorbing soot, trapping heat and raising global temperatures. Thus, Buglade 15 of University College London concludes that in order to avoid rapidly increasing the effects of climate change, Arctic oil must stay in the ground. The impact is mass displacement. Clavin 96 of the World Washington Institute finds that accelerating climate change forecloses opportunities for the development of infrastructure to protect against warming. This is critical because without the necessary infrastructure to deal with disaster, Whiteman 13 of Cambridge University finds that 80% of warming costs will be borne by developing nations. Climate change means adverse weather patterns that can destroy crop yields, flood coastal cities, and destroy ports, which is why the UN 17 explains that climate change strains infrastructure and capital development, forcing millions out of their homes. Critically, the CDC concludes that displacement increases mortality risk by 60 times due to impoverishment, physical trauma, and epidemic. Contention 2 is intel means intel. Acceding to UNCLOS would devastate American intelligence gathering in two ways. First, surfacing. Spring 07 of the Heritage Foundation finds that under the convention, American vessels would have to surface in the territorial sea, the ocean directly off the country's shore, and show their flags, effectively undermining any covert operations. Second, violating innocent passage. UNCLOS dictates that ships' right to pass in the territorial sea is secured under innocent passage if by disrespecting the sovereignty of the coastal state. Unfortunately, Rubin 94 of Tufts University explains that intelligence gathering remains outside the definition of innocent passage and violates UNCLOS. Thus, under UNCLOS, American vessels will be unable to conduct covert operations in the territorial sea. This intelligence is crucial as Gordon Full of Undersea Warfare confirms that submarines gather intelligence on hostile states' intentions from the air, surface, and sea, intercepting signals that are invisible to other technology. The Boston Herald 07 finds that acceding to UNCLOS would shut down a major source of intelligence by preventing the Navy from tapping into enemy intelligence communication lines. Further, London 16 of the Strategic Culture Foundation explains that the Pentagon has deployed underwater drones to surveil China and track its submarines. These drones are able to detect unique intelligence operating in waters too shallow for other vessels. The impact is preventing miscalculation. Reed 17 of the WWF explains that the South China Sea remains one of the most highly contested regions in the world, as its immense resources and heavy flow of trade cause territorial disputes. Fortunately, while small-scale skirmishes occasionally occur, they never escalate into a full-scale war because of the easy availability of reliable intelligence. As Capo 7 of the University of Chicago explains, intelligence gathering operations provide crucial insights into the motivation of an enemy state, preventing miscalculation. Milwaukee 16 of Pittsburgh College writes that given a lack of minimal trust and intense competition between China and the U.S., a misunderstanding in the South China Sea could easily spark a conflict that would escalate quickly into a war which would kill millions. Thus, communicate.
So it has to be like what I read.
Are you not about to do it? You say no? So, covert operations are by their very nature covert. What's the enforcement mechanism for our previously hidden subs to surface?
I mean, China knows we're spying on them. They just don't know when.
Yeah, but how do they know exactly where the submarines are?
Like, for one thing, they know that we have this intelligence, like by the fact that we have.
Yeah, I'm sure they know that we're spying on them. Every country knows that we have a hand in everyone's cookie jar, but what is the enforcement mechanism for submarines to surface?
Well, here's the thing, that when you get caught under UNCLOS basically in the territorial sea, you're forced to turn over the intelligence that would weaken our national security.
Okay, well, why would that intelligence weaken our national security? We're just telling China what they already know about their own.
No, we have to reveal it to the international community.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So, you talked about how UNCLOS provides like solvency for a refugee crisis?
Yeah.
What is that?
Refugee crisis?
No, how do you, like, what's the solvency?
Oh, sure. So, one second. Okay. So we have this super cool piece of evidence, and if I had my computer, I would be able to skip you the exact term. But what it essentially indicates that Article 98 of UNCLOS requires the United States to take in refugees that they spot on the sea, which is exactly what will be able to solve the influx of refugees.
When does this empirically happen with another country?
Well, like when has a refugee crisis happened?
No, when does a country that's acceded to UNCLOS taken in refugees because of Article 98?
I can't cite any precise example. Can I ask a question?
Can you name, like, do you have any?
I'm not that good at history.
I mean, this isn't history. You're choosing to read this case, like you cut this evidence.
Yeah, I cut the evidence, but I honestly am just bad at history. Like,
this isn't like it's something you learn about in history class. This is something you should know if you're running this argument.
I know what you're trying to say, but I can't give you any.
Okay, fine. So can we agree that this has never happened?
That's never happened before, sure. Okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why doesn't the code for unexplained encounter solve this count?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Why doesn't the code for unexplained encounter solve this count?
Can you explain why it tries to solve this count?
I mean, it's literally a code that the United States and China signed on to about what they would do when there is an unexplained clash in the South China Sea. Like, why wouldn't that solve it?
Because we still don't trust China.
What? Sorry,
Because we still don't trust China.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you talked about coordinated efforts. Like, how does this specifically happen?
Okay, sure. So Article 98 requires the United States to drop off refugees picked up via search and rescue operations they can't drop them off back in Venezuela, so they'd have to establish a multilateral front to drop them off in some in a question. So you say that acceleration stops infrastructure development. I didn't get the permanently for that.
Oh, that's okay. The evidence essentially what it says is that when temperature increases, it destroys crops and nature. But however, like just saying it hurts developing nations. But when you have like one country, you saw everything.
I got that.
Change my mind. They're gonna be in my heart. You don't learn something in history about how UNCLOS Article 89 or whatever has ever been applied. It's when teams try to run unique arguments and we don't actually know what's enough about it.
30 seconds.
Is everyone good? Top of the negative. Their first contention talks about drilling. Their first warrant talks about how there's a decrease in oil supplies. They talk about PC-14, but the problem with this analysis is that there's 4 reasons as to why we'd never drill in the Arctic. First, we have oil at home. Kosova in June of 2018 writes that the U.S. found billions of barrels of new oil in the past year, and that was enough to last 79 years. B, it's not profitable. Mooney of the Washington Post in 2015 explains that for the Arctic drilling to be commercially viable, oil would have to be at a stable price of $100 a barrel. Right now, Bergman finds in Forbes that oil prices are just topping $65 in the long term. Oil companies care about making money and won't put up huge investments but without returns. They tell you that they don't care about money, but the warrant for why money matters is because we have cheaper oil in the status quo domestically. 3, there isn't as much oil as they like to say. Recognize that the line of the Financial Times in 2017 reports that Statoil, the Norwegian drilling company, already checked out the Arctic for a huge drilling project and came back disappointed because there was literally no oil to drill. If there's no oil, their harms can happen. Even more so, recognize D, the last reason is domestic regulations. Mooney in 2016 writes that domestic regulations not require companies to have strict safety and environmental protection plans in place before they drill for the Arctic in the Arctic, including spills, response plans, ice weather, and forecasting capabilities. This doesn't exist in the status quo. But then let's go on to the impact level. They talk about displacement. The problem with this analysis is that the United States is one country. They themselves tell you that they need a multifaceted, multilateral approach to solving climate change. Literally one country not drilling in the Arctic, even if their impacts are achieved, doesn't actually change anything. But even more so, I would say that gradual warming is actually a good thing because CO2 emissions are key to preventing billions of deaths from global food shortages. In fact, the finds that food production needs to increase 50% by 2030 to meet projected demands. It is used in the assimilation and CO2 formation, finds that sugars and it fuels growth in yields through photosynthesis. If temperatures rise, you increase food production. This is really important because their argument about displacement talks about the lives, but if we can't feed people, they automatically get displaced, and at this point, their impacts don't matter. Even more so, let's go to the second mention. They talk about intel, they tell you that it's intel. First of all, Isaac tells you in cross-ex, then this concession is going to be super important because we tell you that if the operations are truly cohorts, there's no enforcement mechanism as to when we violate these provisions. If China does not know where our subs are, they do not know when we aren't surfacing them. That logical inherency is a double bind. Even more so recognize their first warrant talks about surfacing. There's a couple of pieces of defense. First, Oliver of the ULSA finds that the U.S. must already follow this provision as a part of the 1958 Convention on the Territorial Sea Contiguous Zone. But you can actually turn the argument because UNCLOS would actually allow for more intelligence gathering in this quote. While the 1958 Convention requires the showing of a flag, UNCLOS only requires a flag when the submarine is engaged in innocent passage. Oliver recognizes that because the collection of intelligence within another country's territorial sea is considered espionage and not innocent passage, U.S. covert submarines under UNCLOS would never have to show their flag. But even more so, there's a couple of logical responses that you can go with. First, they never tell you why submarines specifically give us intel. I would argue we have planes and other satellites which give us just as much intel. And even more so, they don't tell you their impacts need to stem from intel specifically to subs, not just general intel. That's what you can de-link them. But then Isaac gives you the best response roughly around to their miscalculation argument. One, there is no historical precedent to when miscalculation has literally ever occurred since time. And even more so, I would argue that they need to contextualize how miscalculation would actually occur. Isaac tells you the US and China have a literal treaty which tells you that if they were to meet each other, they would have to engage in discourse as to what the actual process was. That's really their argument. And even more so, recognize there is no interest to just start nuking each other because of mutual economic partnerships. But then we talk about multilateralism. Recognize that the enemy state doesn't exist in our world. We tell you that affirming gives us better covert operations. Then go into what they use to in crossfire. They told you that we don't have insolvency. Their arguments assume two problems. One, we tell you that the United States is uniquely positioned to help refugees because the Venezuelan crisis is so close to the United States. But two, our third point, apparently they ignore because it clearly tells you that when the United States is on the UNCLOS, we can sue other countries for not following the enforcement mechanisms, which I would argue is the way you solve their question. At the end of the day, refugees outweigh because it's literally displacement, which is their criminal impact.
Please, can I see maritime activities and the platform for building and recycling that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, I think the maritime activities and the CFR evidence that you're discussing about
increases photosynthesis, but also decreases crop yields because how does it decrease crop yields exactly? I think he says that and that causes more photosynthesis. He said something about photosynthesis, so it makes plants faster, so it makes more food.
Wait, where does it say what you Wait, so it's in our case, he gives you the term a gradual warning if we concede all the dealings, it won't ever happen. On our second contingency, first thing to ensure is no enforcement mechanism. The problem is threefold. First of all, is we would say that China does know sometimes when we're supplying the vast majority of the time they don't know which is why it's effective. But second of all, would say that he's like thirdly concedes us. He literally says that the tribunals work and are effective in implementing international law. Using the United States would follow this. But third of all, would say that if anything, he says that they're going to break the treaty. It's a massive turn on his case, on his observation, because he tells you that only U.S. like a section 2 law this can legitimize it. But we would say that if anything, when they see and actually don't follow it, then that's just deterrence the treaty more. It can break all his impacts. Then, second of all, since all we're saying that this is right now an obligation to the United States to return to convention. Three responses. First of all, would say that if anything, since they laugh and stop the international community, this is UNCLOS 2. There's a reason why we changed to UNCLOS 3. And it says no one really conceded to the first version. The second one would say that if anything, these 1958 territorial sea convention didn't define the territorial sea and functionally legally void. But third, if anything, he told you this only protects, or it was only applies to innocent passages. But the problem is, innocent passages, how are passages through the territorial sea are secured. Then he tells you other income solves. However, he promises the Boston Herald evidence, which is very specific in saying we'll no longer be able to tap into enemy telecommunications lines, and we would not know what China is doing and thinking, which leads to us thinking that war is inevitable and miscalculations. Then he tells you there's no historical precedent. Absolutely, there's no historical precedent because we always have this intelligence. Then he tells you that if anything, this is going to be non-unique because they have, it's all fact that they have the treaty right now. The problem is that as our president Crossfire, even if this is the case that we have treaties with China or things that govern our behavior, but then we don't fundamentally trust them, which the Kulaki evidence says that this will never work. Then he tells you econ independence. However, if you think a war is inevitable to short-circuit econ independence because you believe that you're going to be destroyed, meaning that you attack anyway. Then go on to his observation where he talks about how UNCLOS is deteriorating now. Three responses. First, we talked about the analysis that I just made. If we were to follow or not follow UNCLOS after we see the that would destroy legitimacy. But the second one would say that right now this is going to continue deteriorating because every single country who would break UNCLOS or go against it has already done so. But third, if anything, we would say there's no reason why you need the U.S. accession is like the bright line for saving. Then, on their first connection about refugees, the big argument that he makes here is they create a duty to save lives. The problem with this is threefold. First of all, this is incredibly vague. This is why our makes the analysis of Crossfire, which Isaac can see, which literally says that no other country does this. We're not just talking about Venezuela refugees. There's literally no refugee accident as a result of UNCLOS, and 160 other countries have acceded to it. But second of all, even if that isn't the case, it just provides an incentive for the United States to go and actually protect these refugees. But we would say that in either world, the United States has this incentive because of the impact evidence that they read you that tells you it would be so uniquely bad for the United States themselves because it would spill over and cause like arms to go to terrorists. But third of all, if anything, will tell you these are just lives at sea, meaning that you don't say that any people who are on land. Additionally, they read evidence themselves saying that these sea routes are getting increasingly more difficult, meaning if anything, they're limiting their own impact. Then all their first impact of link about search and rescue. The problem with this is just because the United States is successful, it does not mean they're the only actor who can do this. We would say plenty of other actors can step in. The only thing they say in rebuttal is that, oh, it's because their location, but these are the seas. Remember, like, you can always just sail to a different location. But then, on their second argument about cooperation, the problem with this is that if anything, there's literally no link evidence about UNCLOS here. All they do is that we need multiple countries. Second one would say that if anything, Article 9B that they mentioned is literally only about, I just looked it up, ship masters helping people, like individual people, not the United States community. It's like cruise ships that are sailing on the water, paying the refugees. This is actually absurd. But then, on their third liquid to help with the courts, two responses. The first one would say that they can always use other threats. Like the United States has massive international economic and political clout, meaning they can always threaten other nations to help the refugees crisis, as we've done in the past. But the second one would say, if anything, this can seem like in tribunals, we prefer our second connection specifically, because there is very specific language in UNCLOS that talks about intelligence gathering, why it's not allowed in the territorial sea. Comparatively, there is no language about refugees. Then, he tries to make it preempt about, or location I already answered that. Second of all, would say that if anything, we outweigh on two levels. First is scope. The only analysis he makes the analysis beyond Venezuela is that there are going to be arms that go to criminals. However, this is never terminalized. I don't think our criminals are going to use arms or need arms. But second of all, would say that intelligence controls internal this argument. If we devastate U.S. naval capacities in the event of a war, then we would never, ever be able to actually help these refugees. Ready?
So do we have planes over the South China Sea?
Sorry?
Do we have planes over the South China Sea, or like satellites?
Like I imagine we do?
Huh?
I imagine we do.
Okay. So do planes and satellites not have intel?
They do.
Okay. So what intel do submarines have that is uniquely different from planes and satellites?
First, would say that UNCLOS would probably make sure to match you, but second of all,
Sorry,
Gore info and Boston Herald evidence answer this question really well. Gore info evidence says very explicitly that aircraft. The second answer to your question is the Baltic Limit, which says that when we see unclosed, because any close communication lines underneath the sea or by the coast of China, then we lose our ability to actually gather any data in the first place.
That's not
we
my
can say
question.
no problem is like uniquely important because it allows us to understand
That's not my
everything.
question. My question is like, what kind of intel do subs gather that planes and...
Yeah, I just explained.
Like, I understand your evidence, I get your evidence, but where does your evidence indicate that submarines gather intel, I don't know, say about like where warships are, or like what discrepancies are there between subs and planes and satellites?
I don't know the technological specifications. But
Do you have, does your evidence not indicate that? Like, you don't have a single piece of evidence that tells you that submarines are great for gathering this kind of intel.
Yeah, our policy here, when it talks about
No, that-
telecommunication lines, that's what we're, but that's
That just
clear,
talks
it's very
about
specific.
telecommunication lines
Yeah.
are not intel, right? We have access to
No, that's absolutely not the case at all.
What about, do satellites not like have a connection into
No,
communications?
they just don't. If you want to read evidence saying they do it, go ahead.
Oh, that's
All
a
you
question.
do is like, you came up and made analytics about how, maybe other forms of intelligence can solve. Okay, so let's talk about the question that Zara asked in First Cross.
Yeah.
So how come other countries haven't started taking in refugees?
The answer is twofold, as I said in my report. First, you need refugee crises. Okay, so I would argue that the refugee crises that other countries would act upon aren't in their region. The United States, geographically
No,
speaking,
that's
is
just
very,
not
very close to
No, like
Venezuela.
Venezuela, yeah, I get that. Like I
But
think that's
even
silly,
more
but
so-
obviously,
even more so-
wait, just one second.
I
Like, are there
would like
not
to
other
answer your
refugee crises going on?
I would like to answer your question.
Yeah,
The
no.
top shelf of our case clearly indicates that UNCLOS is deteriorating. This is why countries are following the laws. But if the United States accedes, we can bring them to court.
Wait, so if we win at
Can I have a
UNCLOS,
question real quick? Because I heard something.
yeah,
Okay, let's talk about your response to regional survey, right? You say there's no evidence about UNCLOS. What does the literal last Council on Foreign Relations cards that you called for say?
let me say UNCLOS, and like the party show
I
me
showed
the
you
map
where
of
it said
Venezuela,
UNCLOS.
and then it says things about how the refugee crisis is bad.
Okay, so
But
would it
it's
make
not like,
sense?
oh, you didn't show me the regular card.
Would it make sense
But
for
what does it
countries
say?
who are close to Venezuela to help them, or countries that are far away?
Wait, can I ask, does that party show me actually say UNCLOS anywhere in Europe?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
It's UNCLOS.
Alright,
We're wrong.
Stay. It's smart to like show them the actual part of the card so they say you missed the actual card. And then at the end of the day, you have to call for it. You show them the actual card. So it looks legit and it looks like the opponents are lying. That's all.
If you're
Like,
not
so true.
dating, you should not be talking.
That guy was right. BF's becoming that guy was right. BF is becoming too tough. The team kind of looks like it's like I know like they don't really like what they do. I get what you mean. Yeah. What if they win the tournament? How were they in Summit then?
Right. That's all I've got.
They didn't have a good
You know, like this.
They might lose to games though.
Everybody not ready? Okay.
Starting off, extend our observation, they make two responses, but they're not really responsive because they talk about how the countries will still violate UNCLOS, but that doesn't, they take account to submit that, which indicates that if we see the documents would add their ability to the agreement as a whole, which would then facilitate the implementation of its provisions. That's good analysis is continued. Lives are literally being lost at sea right now, but search and rescue operations are able to solve it. That saves tons of lives. They say that no other country does this, but there's no evidence. They have no evidence. Let's assume a vacuum because we don't have any evidence either. And also, the U.S. is specifically well placed in the region to facilitate the refugee transportation. which is super good. They say lives at sea are only LinkedIn, but remember that transportation is super bad, and Chagrin thinks that the problem will get worse, meaning that more and more refugees will attempt to travel across the Gulf, and they are literally dying in the Gulf, and we need to use our superior boats to pick them up and bring them to places where they can like not live in awful conditions. They say on the second one, they say that we're wrong about our interpretation of UNCLOS, but they don't answer our pop of pool evidence. It's super good about how the dominant interpretation would be that we would save the refugees at sea. They say they are way on scope, we are way on scope because our Chandler evidence indicates that the problem's getting worse. That's cool. People in Venezuela are literally starving and they are trying to get on these boats to get away from Venezuela. We can facilitate that movement of refugees and we can save millions of lives. Moving on to their case. They really don't have any good answers to our argument that operations are covert and there would be nothing to stop them. They try to link it and link us into our tribunals more, but recognize that if they are covert operations, they would be covert. You would not detect them, and thus there would be no perception of the United States violating UNCLOS, and thus that would mean that one, there's no enforcement mechanism behind the entirety of this contention, and two, that means that we solve. Airplanes get intel, the subs detect special signals, but their evidence is generic to intel as a whole.
Stop talking.
Oh, also, I don't know, was it alternating or whatever? Yeah.
Start with the weighing analysis that Isaac concedes in the summary. JJ tells you in rebuttal that war controls the internal link into refugees. At the point where if we win miscalculation, we win, that the United States will not be focused on prioritizing refugees, rather at ending the war. With that, the first place you can vote for us is on our second contention about American intelligence. When we accede to the equality, we lose our right to innocent passage, which is really important because that means submarines cannot get intelligence that can literally not be replicated by other means. Specifically, we can't tap into telecommunication lines, which lets us know about specifically what our enemies' intentions are. That's bad because it capitalizes that this intelligence is key to preventing miscalculation, specifically specifically co-occupies, that miscalculation in the region could spark into a war which would kill millions. They send two responses. First, they say that there's no enforcement for this. However, we would say that when we get caught, it's really bad because we are forced to hand over our intelligence, compromising our national security. They say that if they're covert, they're going to stay covert. However, occasionally submarines get caught, that's really bad. But then they say we never give specific evidence about intelligence. What we would say is they have dropped our Boston Herald and Gornflow evidence in every speech, specifically Gornflow, which says this intelligence cannot be replicated by any other means. But with that, you can move on to their case. The first thing you can extend is that you can literally outweigh their entire case on uniqueness because the incentive to help these refugees exist in the world, that's the impact evidence from their case. At that point, when we're not helping them right now, there's no reason why we would when we accede to UNCLOS. Even then, they say that we are uniquely positioned to help these refugees. However, these are the C's. You can literally just get a boat. They read you no harm why we can't do that. Then, we can extend our response to saying that there's other ways the United States can threaten these countries. That's important. They drop this in their summary. That means if we really want these countries to be helping refugees, we can just threaten them in other ways. They give you no reason why UNCLOS is key. Then you can extend our response to this. Article 90 is literally talking about individual people, not countries as a whole. They say this doesn't answer their response about a dominant interpretation, but if it really is so dominant that we're helping these refugees, why can't they name a single example of any time this happened? Even then, you can outweigh their entire case on scope. They say that the refugee problem is getting worse. However, our Milwaukee evidence at the bottom of our case literally says that a war in the South China Sea would kill millions.
You got the first question.
So, walk it. So, why is the intelligence that's gathered by submarines the key internal link to submarines?
Okay, this is a Boston Herald evidence. You can see it in every speech. What
No,
they said is
the
without
Boston
these
Herald
submarines, we cannot tap into these enemy telecommunication lines. That's important because if we are not able to access this, we cannot know their intentions.
That's not my question. Okay, my question is why is that intelligence the key internal link?
We'd say because A, telecom lines are what allow us to know what Chinese people are saying, which is the best way to know what their intentions are. But B, let's remember, like, this analysis is not made in summary. The way you're going to send it in summary is other sources of intelligence solve, like airplanes.
Yeah, right.
Isaac also tells you at the bottom of it, and you don't actually front on this at all, he tells you that the United States and China literally engage in discussions about miscalculation.
Yeah.
That's the treaty.
Right. And
Even
our
United
argument
States'
is
first
we
cross.
block evidence, which is in our speech, and we literally formed that by saying that even like with these negotiations or discussions or whatever, that all these treaties, they still distrust one another. Meaning that A, those treaties are failing, but B, if anything, they won't be successful in the future because if they talk, the United States won't believe them.
I'll talk about it.
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about your argument where you say that like this provides, or like the United States will have an incentive to pick up refugees and save lives at sea. So how come they don't have an incentive?
So they have an incentive right now, but the evidence that Isaac sends over the problem is getting worse, so we have to affirm as a That's one. But
Wait,
two,
they have an incentive right now.
I'd like to finish, and I'm sure I answered your question.
Yeah, sure.
The second response is that the way in which we help refugees only happens through UNCLOS, because UNCLOS gives us a mechanism by which to enforce other countries to help refugees. We're not going to be unilaterally just helping
So this is
refugees.
contingent on you winning. Like, in order for you to win this, you have to win your third lane without like pressure on the country. You got that? So this is contingent on you winning insurance.
Just on that, I have something.
So, yeah.
This is contingent on you winning your third lane.
Not necessarily. It's contingent upon winning like the top shelf debate, which tells you that UNCLOS is deterrent now. Which
No,
you guys are
because
responding
this
to.
allows the reason why it's so important is because it allows us to pressure other countries.
That's the second reason, and we also talked about the first reason as to why we would accede is because we don't have a mechanism by which to help refugees. UNCLOS
Wait,
gives
we
us
don't
that
have
mechanism.
search and rescue operations successful.
Not in Venezuela.
UNCLOS does not create search and rescue operations as
It mandates them in Venezuela.
Right, it mandates them, and what we're saying is you don't need to mandate them because the United States, as per your own impact evidence, has a market incentive to help these Venezuelan refugees anyway.
It's not a market incentive, it's more about instability.
The problem is that they're not. The problem is that they're still not, and a session will replace that.
No. We have no doubt. It's going to start on their days. Is everyone good? All right. tell you in response to our warrant about no perception, they tell you they will get caught. If they get caught, by definition, that means that our operations are not covert, there's no defense. But the other side of the coin is if we don't get caught, there's no enforcement mechanism by which we can actually get garner any benefits. And then extend the evidence which the argument that Isaac tells you in summary, which doesn't correspond to, he tells you that the perception is that we don't violate them because there's no enforcement mechanism to expose us. At this point, our top shelf debate that on our side of the globe goes through, they don't front it in summary. Then go to their argument about miscalculation. They extend through it. One, Isaac tells you there are hotlines in the status quo, there are negotiations in the status quo. Even more so, I would argue in order to weigh this argument, A, they need to contextualize it with historical precedent, but they haven't, and B, we would tell you that since like summary and rebuttal, we'd be telling you that there's no reason why miscalculation would occur if countries don't have the incentive to do so now. But even more so, their impact evidence is not changing subs. It tells you that intel is good. I need to know why intel from subs is good. You can get intel from planes and satellites, call for their impact evidence, not the Boston Herald evidence. Then go to the top shelf of our debate. They literally do not extend any response to this. They just say like no. But we tell you that right now the UNCLOS is deteriorating. That's our leading student evidence. If UNCLOS is deteriorating, we have a risk of offense. At this point, we have won the functionality of the debate because if you affirm there is a risk you save hundreds of refugees or even tens of refugees, which you still affirm. They tell you that you can just get on a boat because it's the ocean. This argument is literally asinine. China's not going to take a boat all the way to Venezuela to help our refugees. We should go into the United States because we're uniquely geographically positioned. But even more so, I would argue that we have search and rescue operations which goes uncontested. Our third one is also really good because it tells you that when the United States secedes, we can use regional courts to enforce the provisions onto other sides of the globe. But then let's go into the winning bit. We tell you that if they try to link in by winning this out, they don't win this out. We win because on the strength of it. We tell you the only world in which you can even have a chance of solving for refugees is if you affirm because the provisions do not exist now and we enforce it not only on ourselves but other countries.
Bottom of our bottom there, please, is our better summary, and then our second convention, and then back to it.
Sorry, would you mind repeating that?
Sorry?
Would you mind just repeating what you said?
Yeah. So it starts at the bottom of our bottom, which is our summary, then our second convention, and then the
Okay, thank you.
Is everyone good? The conceded argument wrapped around, this just wins us the entire argument. Because if we have a war, we will not be focused on helping refugees, and we will not be able to help refugees. Meaning any risk of our second convention, if you buy a 0.0001% chance of our second convention happening, it automatically controls going into all of their impacts and you vote right there. With that, the biggest place to vote is on American intelligence. We tell you that when we see UNCLOS, we can no longer have covert operations in territorial waters of China, which is really bad because it stops us from being able to attack their telecom lines specifically and understand their intentions. At that point, you vote on the cap evidence under miscalculation. What we do is the intelligence prevents miscalculation because it allows us to understand what the enemy is thinking and thus recognize that war is not inevitable, meaning we do not strike first. At that point, the law finds that one mistake because of high distrust in the region would lead to war, which would kill millions. They extend two responses. There are three responses. First of all, they tell you is that if anything, these aren't covert operations because they're able to be seen. We tell you that yes, every once in a while they're seen. However, overall they're effective, meaning that if anything, the United States would have to follow UNCLOS. However, these operations are so effective. The best proof of that is that right now there is no war. The second thing they tell you is that there's no reason why intelligence themselves is uniquely important. But the Boston Herald doesn't talk about telecom communication lines, which works perfectly with the cap evidence because we say that it allows us to understand the intentions of the enemy state. But even if you don't think that's true, there's no warrant to express the contrary. There's still risk of offense. Then, the final thing to use hotline solve over the front line that we give you, which is that there's extremely high tensions in the region. Additionally, if anything this is mitigatory, we would say that before we buy any risk of miscalculation, you automatically vote no. But then, go on to their case, three key responses. First of all, we tell you that if anything, it's just the incentive for the United States to actively help out these refugees, but the United States already has an incentive as per their own evidence. They don't literally throw in this in any speech, but second one would say that if anything, this is like we can only pressure other nations to help, it's not only response to their thirdly, but it's their entire argument, because if we can pressure other countries to help, there's no reason why uniquely United States secession is the only thing we can tell you is location. We can always just have other partners in the region use their navies. Finally, we can say that if anything, you outweigh them on scope, because, sorry, briefly on the overview, we say there's no turmoil impact extended to UNCLOS deteriorating, it's not close scope.